Okay, good evening. Welcome to the Cabarrus County Board of Education June 8th, 2026 business meeting. I'm Rob Walter, the board chair, and I'm going to call this meeting to order. We don't have anybody performing for the opening ceremony. I don't want to sing, so let's just say the Pledge of Allegiance. You stand with me. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, 2.02 is our introductions and greetings, and I'll just introduce the folks up here on the dais. And for the last time, we have our teacher representative, Madison Little. Welcome. Board member Shannon Lancaster. Board member Catherine Moore. Board member Sam Treadaway. Our superintendent, John Kopicki. And to my right is board vice chair Greg Mills. Board member Pam Escobar. Board member Melanie Freeman. And our board attorney is filling in. We have Dave Stevens today, so he is here tonight. Welcome. All right, board members, we need to set our agenda. It's been there on the Diligent website for a while. And your motion a second, or Melanie?
I would like to make a motion to pull the fees off of the consent agenda so that we can discuss those.
Okay, so there's a request to pull the fees, and any board member can do that. So we will move that over to the action item, so we'll vote on that separately. And that will be 10.02.
Okay, thank you.
So any other changes to the agenda? I need a motion and a second to adopt.
Make a motion that we adopt the agenda as amended.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mills. Anybody? Thank you. Thank you, Sam. We have a motion and a second. All in favor of adopting our agenda tonight, please say aye. 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 Okay. Agenda is set, and we're going to move right into our recognitions. And this is exciting. We get to do the Cabarrus County Schools State Champions for the spring of 2026. And do we have Mr. Brian Tyson? Is he here? Brian? All right, give him just a moment. So we've got a number of track athletes here.
Is that applause for finding us out there? Well, good evening, board members and Dr. Kopicki. There's so many positive things to celebrate in our district academically and athletically. So I wanted to take some time tonight to celebrate and recognize our spring state champions. And we don't have a lot of state champions here with us tonight. And I don't know why somebody wouldn't want to come to a board meeting, you know what I mean? But in the summertime, it's hard to get everybody here. But we had one team state championship, and we had 8 individual state champions. So we got 3 individuals here with us tonight. But I first want to start off with the men's track team. J.M. Robinson won the 5A men's track championship, scoring 73 points. They blew out Oak Grove. Oak Grove was a far distance second place with 45 points. Chase Thompson is here tonight representing the team. Chase, if you raise your hand, we appreciate you coming tonight for us to be recognized for your team. And if you remember, the J.M. Robinson track team, the boys team, also won the indoor state championship this winter as well. So a lot of speedsters there. Team members were Cameron Tucker, Aiden Black, Jaden Covington, DeMonte Barr, Nehemiah Chung, Mason Coleman, Jameer Kelly, Darius Smith, Kamari Pinkston, Kwabena Kankam Jatuna, Jonan Kay, Andrew Davis, and Emmanuel Rustin, along with Chase. And we also had, in men's track, we had Chase McCullough of Hickory Ridge High School. Here's Chase is with us tonight, and we appreciate you coming, Chase. Chase is from Hickory Ridge High School. He just graduated. He won the 7A discus throw with an amazing 189 feet 10 inches. He is one of the premier throwers in the state of North Carolina and in the country. Currently ranks 14th in the nation. He was a state runner-up last year as a junior, and as a senior this year, he won the county, the conference, and the Western Regional in both the shot put and the discus. And Chase is going to go to a great university next year, Appalachian State University. And I say that's because I went there, Chase. You did too, Mr. Treadway, didn't you? Oh, you didn't? Okay. But yes, he's going to go, and he plans on pursuing a degree in kinesiology with the goal of becoming a physician's assistant. And we just wish you the best and congratulations on your accomplishments. And he will be with participating in track and field at Appalachian as well. Also, some people that were not able to come tonight on the men's track side of it, the state champions was Julian Williams. I don't think Julian made it, did he? I didn't see him come in. So Julian Williams was an 11th grader at Northwest Cabarrus High School, and he won the 5A triple jump, and he won both the indoor and outdoor state championships this year. And he's currently ranked number 21 in the nation and number 2 in North Carolina. So congratulations to Julian Williams as well. Others that couldn't come here tonight, I know Cam Tucker, you've seen him here many a times before, the J.M. Robinson Superior athlete. Cam is actually out in Seattle, Washington, competing in the Nationals, and I just found out just a while ago that he won the Nationals in the 400 meter, so that's awesome news to hear as well. And Cam won three more state championships this spring. In the 100, the 200 meter, and the 400 meter. He was the 5A MVP, and that's a total of 8 state championships in his stellar career at J.M. Robinson High School. So congratulations to Cam. Kaizen Moore of Concord High could not be here. They just graduated from high school, and from Concord High, he won the 5A high jump at 6 feet 7 inches. So congratulations to Kaizen. And also Elijah Monroe, which you've seen him before with multiple state championships as well, from West Cabarrus High School, just graduated, and he won the 100 meter dash in 10.5 seconds, and also placed second in the 200 meter dash. And he is going to have a full scholarship starting this fall at the University of South Carolina. So we wish him as well, and congratulations to Elijah. And the last one that could not be here tonight was Grady Anderson of Hickory Ridge High School, who's only a junior, rising senior, won the 7A 1600 meter run in 4 minutes 18.6 seconds. So congratulations to Grady Anderson as well. And we move on to women's track, and we do have with us tonight Sophia Whitaker. Sophia is a stellar athlete and student at West Cabarrus High School. She is a rising senior this year. She won the discus with a throw of 136 feet 8 inches, and she was also second in the shot put. And also Sophia won, if you remember, Sophia was here this winter and she won the shot put in the winter state championships as well. So congratulations, Sophia, on a job well done. And last but not least was Corin Tucker, who is Cam's sister. And ironically, Corin won the same events that Cam did this spring in the state championships. She won the 100, the 200 meter, and the 400 meter. And she was also the meet MVP, just like her brother was. So that is amazing in itself. And we know where she is going now. Also, she is going to UNC Chapel Hill on a track scholarship. So congratulations to Corin as well. So that comes to the conclusion of our state championships and champions this spring. We've had a great year this year, Cabarrus County Schools athletic-wise, and we're honored to celebrate these kids, and congratulations to you guys. That's something that nobody can ever take away from you, that you will always be a state champion. And thank you guys for showing up and girls for showing up tonight to the board meeting. We appreciate you and thank you very much.
Mr. Tyson, I had a question. Mr. Tyson, are these athletes, are they eligible for the Cabarrus County Sports Hall of Fame?
They have to be out for so long.
Okay.
We'll get them signed up.
All right, there's some amazing athletes here in Cabarrus County. Congratulations to them. Moving on to section 5, which is approval of our minutes from last month. So we have minutes from our work session and our business meeting. And those have also been an opportunity for board members to review. Any changes or comments, corrections? If not, I'd need a motion and a second to approve our minutes.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Treadaway. Thank you, Mr. Mills. We have a motion and a second to approve our minutes for May. Please say aye if you agree with that. Aye. Okay, those minutes have been approved. And we will move on to section 6, which is board chair and superintendent comments. So essentially tonight I'd just like to say, there's important matters for our students, our staff, and our community that we're facing on tonight's agenda. We have a number of citizens also that are signed up to address the board on topics that are important to them and their families. I want to thank those individuals for participating in the public process. Public education works best when community members are engaged and willing to share their perspectives. As a board, it's our job, we have the responsibility to listen carefully, review information thoroughly, and make decisions through an open and deliberate process. I do know that Dr. Kapicki is going to address the OCR situation. Before he does that, I'd like to ask our attorney, Dave Stevens, have you heard anything on the Supreme Court hearing, what's before the Supreme Court that's related to this?
No, we are closely monitoring both the Hecox versus Little case and the West Virginia versus PPJ case, which are pending opinions at the Supreme Court. We expect that those opinions will come through by the end of June or the first week of July. The next opinion date at the Supreme Court is Thursday, and again, we've got a close eye on it.
Okay, thank you. All right, with that, I will hand it over to Dr. Kapicki for his comments.
Thank you, Mr. Walter. I'd like to speak this evening about the actions we are taking to ensure our schools and bathrooms remain safe and as safe as possible for every student in Cabarrus County. First, I want to reaffirm that Cabarrus County schools will always follow the law, and we will continue to do so regarding student restroom access. Should laws or legal requirements change, we will adjust accordingly. Beyond legal compliance, our responsibility is to ensure every student and family feels confident that our schools are safe, welcoming, respectful, and supportive learning environments. While we are limited in what we can publicly discuss regarding the Department of Education investigation due to student privacy protections and legal considerations, I want to reiterate that we are fully cooperating with the investigation. I also want to address an important point that is sometimes overlooked. Our schools provide private or single-user restroom options for any student who may feel uncomfortable using male or female designated restrooms. We recognize that people may hold differing perspectives on these sensitive issues, and we respect that families come to these conversations with deeply held beliefs and concerns regarding privacy, dignity, safety, and well-being. However, I believe there is common ground within our community. Every student deserves to feel safe, respected, and supported at school. That commitment remains at the center of every decision we make. Our leadership team has listened carefully to the concerns expressed by parents, students, staff, and community members in recent weeks. As we move forward into the summer months, we will work closely with our principals and school leaders to review our student code of conduct. Safety protocols, supervision practices, and procedures related to student behavior throughout our schools, including in restrooms and locker room areas, will be reviewed. If improvements or additional safety measures are needed, we will take appropriate action. Consistent with national trends and feedback from our own parents over the past 3 years, bathrooms, outdoor spaces, and playgrounds remain the top areas of concern for student safety. This input helps guide our ongoing efforts as we regularly review supervision, facilities, security measures, and procedures to strengthen safety in these areas. We remain committed to listening, evaluating, and making improvements to support the safety and well-being of every student. I understand and agree with parents who believe that even one incident involving student safety is one too many. We take every concern seriously, regardless of how often incidents occur, because maintaining safe schools is our highest responsibility. At the same time, it is important to provide context. Our data indicates that incidents occurring in school bathrooms represent a small percentage of overall student discipline matters. During the 25-26 school year, approximately 2.4% of all disciplinary incidents occurred in bathrooms, with the majority involving vaping, vandalism, or fighting. While those numbers remain relatively low across 44 schools over a 10-month school year, our expectation is clear. Students are expected to demonstrate appropriate behavior everywhere on campus, in classrooms, hallways, cafeterias, athletic facilities, and restrooms alike. And by and large, our students carry themselves in an exemplary manner. We will continue evaluating whether our expectations, supervision, and responses meet the standards our students, staff, and families deserve. Finally, amid the emotion and disagreement surrounding these discussions, I do not want to overlook the tremendous accomplishments that our students continue to achieve. Cabarrus County Schools continues to demonstrate strong academic achievement. Our graduation rates remain among the highest we have ever achieved and continue to exceed the state average. Our students also continue to outperform state averages on standardized tests. These accomplishments reflect the hard work of our students, the dedication of our teachers and staff, and the strong support of our families and community. I welcome questions, feedback, and concerns from our community, because these are your schools, and we are honored to serve your children every day. As we continue these important conversations, I simply ask that we do so respectfully, thoughtfully, and with a shared commitment to the success, safety, and well-being of every student in Cabarrus County Schools.
Okay,
Lastly, I would like to talk to two people directly this evening, as tonight will be their last school board meeting. I'd like to thank Madison Little for representing the Cabarrus County school teachers in a wonderful fashion, and for her cooperation and collaboration over the school year, working with the administration and also the school board. She's done a fantastic job, and Madison, I hope and wish you nothing but the best in the future, and you continue to exemplify everything that's wonderful about our school system as an excellent teacher that we see every day. So thank you, Madison, and all the best to you. And then lastly, to Dr. Mary Beth Roth, who will be retiring at the end of this school year. She has filled many roles here in Cabarrus County Schools. She has been a principal, a director, a level school leader, currently serves as the head of student services, and everything she has touched or everything she has been involved in has been just fantastic. She's very geared on student success and making sure that they have the best representation at all times, filled with knowledge, incredibly intelligent, one of the finest people I've ever worked with. I appreciate all your help, your guidance, your insight, and the wisdom that you have shared with all of us over the years. And I will forever be indebted to you for the kindness you've exhibited to me here in Cabarrus County Schools. With that being said, I wish you nothing but the best in your future, and I hope we get to see you again in maybe some different capacity or different roles as you go on to your new beginning. So all the best to you, Dr. Roth, and thank you for all your dedication to Cabarrus County Schools.
And we also truly appreciate the impact you've made for Cabarrus County Schools. We're in a better place now than we were. All right, I'm going to move on to section 7, which is our guest speakers portion of the meeting. I will read our statement here. Each speaker is allowed up to 3 minutes to speak, and an individual speaking for a group is allowed up to 5 minutes at the discretion of the board chair to express interest and concerns related to official business of the school district. The speakers will be called in the order in which we receive the request. A person may not be substituted for another speaker, nor May one speaker donate time to another speaker. If the speaker runs out of time, then the speaker may leave additional information with the board clerk. Statements reasonably perceived to be disruptive or intimately threatening to the orderly operation of the meeting shall not be permitted. Any limitation on public comment shall be viewpoint neutral. I have the authority to rule a speaker out of order. If the speaker or attendee willfully interrupts, disturbs, or disrupts this meeting and refuses to leave after being asked, then the speaker may be escorted out for disrupting an official meeting. Board members will not respond to individuals who address the board except to request clarification of points made by the presenters. I believe all our speakers understand those rules, and we're going to start with the order they received, and I have Pam Emmons. Are you here? Welcome.
Hi, good evening. Thank you all for your time this evening. My name is Pam Emmons. My family and I live in Midland. There's Sam. Down in Midland, North Carolina. We are also members of the Mandarin Immersion community here in Cabarrus County. I have a rising fifth grader and a rising seventh grader. So a student both at the elementary program, which currently exists at Harrisburg Elementary School, and the middle school program, which is at Roberta Road Middle School. The presentation that you received last week is accurate. The enrollment at our middle school is low. But I want to share a different perspective on why I think the enrollment is low. Each year since the program was moved to Roberta Road, unfortunately, I think you can see a trend that enrollment has decreased. It's not Roberta. We love Roberta. My son loves Roberta. He wants to be a Raptor for life. Like, love the school. It's simply just not the natural feeder for the majority of families. With the program being at Harrisburg Elementary, the families that is their home school, their home district is to Hickory Ridge Middle School. Many of them can't provide personal transportation to get their child to their middle school, and they're choosing to stay with their home middle school. And just not enough have committed, like my family. I mean, we drive 20 minutes to go anywhere if you live in Midland, so it's not a big deal, but it is for many of our friends. The program is a stellar program. If you don't know about the Mandarin program, it's absolutely something as a county that we should lean on as a fantastic piece of education for curriculum. 2 years ago, they did a data presentation to the families, and at that point, the Mandarin program choice was outscoring every other program choice in the county. The students in the Mandarin, their EOG scores were higher than every other program choice. I think that doesn't have to do with the kids that were in it. It has to do with the curriculum challenges your brain. When you learn another language in an elementary school environment in immersion, the science is there that it just makes your brain stay like a sponge for longer. And so it's a fantastic tool for educating our children. My son's 6th grade class this past year, every kid was in advanced middle school math, and all but one were in advanced ELA. There are 25 kids in this year's kindergarten class. So I think there are families that are showing that they're interested in this program. They're choosing it at Harrisburg. I do have to say it was a little frustrating. We as families did not receive any communication prior to last week's presentation. If not for a friend who was paying attention, it's summertime, many of us wouldn't have known that this was coming for a vote tonight. My recommendation for consideration by the county is simply to realign the elementary and the middle school. So we're going to have, if we only have time and space for one immersion program in elementary and one immersion program in middle school, I think in order for it to be successful, they need to be at schools that naturally feed each other and give it time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Emmons. My next speaker is Trista Ruck. Are you here? Hello again.
Hi. My name is Trista Ruck, but all of you know that since I was the one who first brought this issue to the board. If y'all would have done something about the issues of trans individuals going into their non-biological bathrooms when I brought this issue in December, then I wouldn't have gotten harassed, bullied, had my name written all over the walls, received death threats, and threats to jump me at school. Kapicki, I am extremely disappointed in you. I'm 17 years old. and showing vulnerability to you, and you dismiss my peers and I and say how this is a perception and this is also not a problem. This is not only an issue at Cox Mill, but an issue to other schools across the county that you and the rest of the board members are accountable for. Additionally, you stated how the number of restroom-related incidents is only 2.4%. That's close to 800 students. Is this 2% you speak of what's been told to you or what's been reported? That doesn't take into account for the people who are terrified to come forward to report and say something because they're scared to face the same repercussions I have, or have been threatened by a coach or a staff member, which many of my friends have been threatened by. This issue is so self-explanatory to solve, but what you do is deflect this and do what so many staff do, which is deflect. Something will happen. It's only a matter of time. And every single one of you will have to take accountability for it. In your own opinion, Kopicki, me coming to speak to you is not an issue. You can dismiss me and put me in harm's way. You can dismiss every student that has stood before you and put them in harm's way. But you cannot dismiss reality. It's happening. It's a problem. Remember this moment. Us students have done our jobs. Now it's time for the rest of you to do yours. Have a great day.
Okay. The next speaker is Casey Burke. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Casey Burke. I'm the mother to a rising third grader in the Mandarin program. And in my day job, I'm an attorney and the executive director of a nonprofit legal services organization. When it was time to enroll our daughter in school, my husband and I did a lot of research. We landed on Mandarin immersion, in part because of the incredible data that was presented by the school. Your data showed us this is a special program. It showed us that students who are educated in dual education programs outperform students that are educated in traditional classrooms in standardized tests. They develop greater cognitive flexibility. They have superior problem-solving skills, and they have enhanced understanding of the English language in addition to the language they are learning. Being proficient in any second language is a huge benefit from elementary school through middle and high school and into the workforce. Being proficient in Mandarin is a really special skill in today's global economy. This program is setting our children up for success in a way that is unique and extremely valuable. I appreciate that the board is facing difficult financial decisions and that there are limited resources. As executive director of a nonprofit, I understand what it's like to work within the constraints of a budget. But some investments are worth making. So much has gone into making this program what it is. The board, the teachers, the schools, the parents, and the kids have all poured into this. And to walk away from it now without truly seeing it through isn't doing justice to that investment. I understand enrollment right now for the class that's entering middle school is low for a variety of reasons that the other speaker mentioned. But my daughter has 20 kids in her class. Don't they deserve to see this through to fluency? I've watched my child and her 20 classmates flourish as they develop language skills, cultural competency, and critical thinking abilities. These are skills that will benefit them, not just now, but throughout their lives, potentially equipping them to be leaders on the global stage. And Cabarrus County should be a place where children have the opportunity to become those kinds of leaders. We've already done so much to be that kind of community, and we can't quit now. Strong public school systems are defined not only by their ability to provide the basics, but also their ability to provide this kind of distinctive, high-quality opportunities that prepare our children for an increasingly global future. Cabarrus County's commitment to our children through the Mandarin program is a huge draw for this county. And so I ask you, on behalf of the students who've committed years of effort and deserve the chance to see it through to fluency, and to the families who chose Cabarrus County schools because of this opportunity, please preserve the Mandarin immersion program through middle school. And I thank you all for your service.
Thank you, Ms. Burke. My next speaker is Brandon Matthews. I just see you over there.
Freaking picky, y'all. Should the camera see it? You know, I find it real funny that it takes a Title IX investigation for you to speak up. Now, we pay you $278,000 a year, and that's not including the membership fees, which equal about $350,000 a year, and you got to look down and read off a prepped AI speech. You pulled it out of a book. You ain't even got the knowledge to sit here and talk to us straight-faced. Do y'all know how this works? He works for y'all. You understand that? So every time y'all tried to talk last week and this man shuts you down, he can't shut you down. He works for you. Rob, you want to prove that you're in that seat and you deserve that seat? Then when he backtalks you, you tell him to shut up. That's how that works. The fact that you turn around and made them dumb lines, that's crazy because you manipulate and go back on everything you say. That's a hypocrite. You understand what that means? Pam, you're a waste of oxygen. God, I don't even know why you're sitting there. Miss Melanie, I know you know what's right. Thank you for standing up. To hear you defend his salary, I'm about to throw up in my mouth. I have never heard somebody talk so much bull to kiss his. Now, you want aggressive? We can do aggressive.
Language,
you want
Brandon.
calm? Rob, you want calm? We can be calm. But this is ridiculous. Come on, y'all look stupid. Every one of you, grown people, and you look stupid. All you do is sit there with your lips closed. You seem like a very nice lady. Cat, come on now. You think he's worth $350,000 a year? Do you? I tell you what, though, I know your daughter, and I know if a man walked in there and touched her, you would go off the deep end.
Brandon, that's not.
Whose children?
Brandon.
Oh, you're out of line. I'm sorry, Mr. Rest my
All
head on my
right, Brandon,
shoulder.
that's out of order.
What's out of order?
Using the
Oh,
language.
because we bring y'all's kids into it. What about our kids? You see that? You are a pathological liar. You cover your own tail to save your own tail. Nothing you say is legit. And you want to sit up there and call us liars? I hate to tell you, but there's a lawsuit coming, and I hope you're ready. That's where I'm going to end it. Because, boss, my name is dead center of that lawsuit, and so help me God to the day I die, if it takes me getting you out of that seat, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Watch.
Okay, don't come. Brandon, you're done. Okay, Brandon, that's been destructive. Okay, you've had your time. Let the next speaker. Next speaker. Okay, Brandon, I'm going to ask you to leave, please.
I don't care. Say it. Say, Brandon, get out.
Brandon, get out.
Thank you.
All right. Next speaker is Jay Sheenman. Are you here?
Who was that? Couldn't hear you.
Sheenman. Jay Sheenman.
Okay, I can't believe that we're having to have this discussion again. It's taken a federal investigation to prompt Mr. Kapicki to make his statement today. I don't believe a word he said. I'm sorry to say it. So, Mr. Kapicki, this is directed at you. I am at this time going to ask you to do the right thing. Not only for the young ladies in our schools, but for the safety and well-being of all the students in Cabarrus County. Your denial that there is a problem which is already causing humiliation, fear, shame, intimidation of our young ladies has brought about this request. Your denial has brought undue stress for families, increased the likelihood of potential lawsuits, and that the county will not withstand. At this time, I am asking you to stand up and do what is right. For the citizens, the students, the staff in Cabarrus County, announce your resignation effective immediately.
Yes.
Okay? You're out in left field somewhere by allowing this to happen for over 6 months now. All you had to do was make a simple policy. You didn't do it, you refused to do it, and now we're looking at some severe lawsuits. I know this for fact. I've talked to some of these people. And I'll tell you, me personally, I'll help them hire their attorneys financially. Have a good day.
My next speaker is Christy McDaniel. Are you here?
Yes.
Welcome.
Can you make sure that mic is on? Should be a button on the front you have to press and a red light will go. There we go.
Yes. Hi, my name is Christy McDaniel, and I have 2 children in the Mandarin Immersion program here in Cabarrus County. I love that my children speak Mandarin. They trade jokes and tease each other in Mandarin while brushing their teeth. They have secret conversations at the dinner table, and they even speak to my Chinese-speaking colleagues in Europe and Asia when I have a video conference call. Watching them grow academically, socially, and culturally through this program has been an honor and a joy. I only have 3 minutes, but I want to remind everyone that the Mandarin Immersion program in Cabarrus County consistently produces outstanding academic results, and it is consistently the top performing program out of all the program choice programs. It actually helps raise the overall district performance in averages. Since Dr. Kapicki has challenged us to become the best district in the nation, we should be nurturing this program, not trying to get rid of it. The reason we are here today is because low enrollment in the rising 6th grade class is discouraging. However, I want to point out that these children started kindergarten during 2020 COVID remote learning. And as you can imagine, learning a language as complex as Mandarin through remote instruction at 5 years old was difficult. Please don't make a permanent decision today based off of the havoc that COVID wreaked 6 years ago on enrollment. We can't let COVID win. And as a parent who has talked to all the other parents in the program, I will also tell you that we need to keep the school pipeline stable. When we keep changing the schools that are involved, from Hickory Ridge to Harris Road to Roberta Road and Cox Mill to no Cox Mill, parents give up. If we were to keep a stable plan in place for the entire K-8 pathway, I assure you enrollment would hold much more stable. And we can survey the past and current parents to confirm this. Lastly, I think marketing for Mandarin could use some help. You guys are spread thin over 19 different program choice programs, and Mandarin isn't widely popular in the South, but it is the most spoken language on the planet, so I promise you that it's useful. And learning a second language will benefit our children and their community, which is this community, for their entire lives. As a parent, I have personally encouraged 4 families to enroll in this Mandarin program without any real effort at all. Imagine what could be accomplished if the district were to partner with parents who are passionate about the program, like many of the parents here today. I would gladly volunteer as a Mandarin Immersion Ambassador, and I know many other parents who would do the same. We want this program to thrive, and we are ready to help. Please let us help champion this program before you get rid of it. I beg you, do not approve this recommendation tonight. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, I have two more speakers. They said they are representing a group, so if you come up here, please explain what the group is and then have your say for 5 minutes. Next speaker is Keisha Sandage. Welcome.
Hey, as I've sent to the board clerk already in my email to request to speak, Purple Table Talk is a nonpartisan Facebook group created to discuss community issues collectively, bring resolutions where appropriate, and an attempt to address the problems that plague our country and our county. Rob, I don't think I should need to say this every month, okay? So I wrote down a few things, and Mr. Penn, I just want to tell you thank you for the TKO last week or last month. or last week, I'm sorry. I appreciate us setting the record straight. One thing I want for this board to consider is consistency of what's being asked of you. Many people have talked about safety. If the concern is with compliance to federal law, why does the focus appear to be exclusively on Cabarrus County schools? There are several other school districts in this county, but I only see Cabarrus County School being probed and being used as a scapegoat. There's several federal buildings, governmental buildings, that are here in this county. I don't see the probes there. You got to ask yourself, why is Cabarrus County being targeted like this? And if you're not asking that question of yourselves, you should definitely be asking them of the people who have come up here for the last few months and given a lot of oxygen to safety. Let's see. If it's truly about safety, why are we not spending an equal amount of time talking about safety across the board? I've come up here several times. I've also gone to our county commission and I talked with them about safety. There is a JCPC group, a juvenile crime prevention committee that meets every single month in our county. Folks, get on that committee. There is a child protection and fatality team that meets monthly. I hope one of these school board members are on that team because they discuss the deaths in our county. That is another layer of safety. Cabarrus County Schools has its own safety committee. I believe 2 board members are on there. I suggest you get some of these parents that keep coming up here every month talking about safety on that committee as well to help you plan accordingly. Public safety should be guided by facts, consistency, and sound governance, not selective outrage. We don't fix problems on social media. We do not fix problems on social media. We will continue to spin until our heads are falling off if we continue to discuss problems on social media. Now, I have yet to hear Cabarrus County Schools' budget be presented to the Cabarrus County Commission. That should trouble every single last one of you board members because one person on that county commission approved the school board every single year, if I remember correctly. And y'all need to keep that in mind. That same commissioner has been here several times preaching to you guys about safety for something that commissioner themselves did not address while they were on the school board. And you've got to question, why is that the case? It's very concerning that you guys are asking for the same amount of money that other districts in our county are asking for. Yet you've been unable to present that to our county commission. Now, if you've met individually, I can tell you that that entire county commission has not heard your budget. I know that for a fact, and I know many of you do. I encourage this board to remain focused on the task at hand, which is providing for over 35,000 students, over 4,000 staff, and an entire community that is dependent upon what happens in this educational system. I bet you several people in this audience out here bought their house in Cabarrus County because of the school system. And nobody can tell me I'm lying about that. This school system has served hundreds of kids that we see every month come in here and get awards, get college scholarships, and we give those accolades to be sitting here and listening to all of this drama. It should not have to come in front of you this often for something to be done about it. Dr. Kubicki, one of the things that I heard today that I agree with is we should have had a statement prior to all of this. I think it would have gave way and quieted a lot of things that have been said in these last 2 months. People want to know what's happening. And we have the opportunity, and I know this for a fact as well, to talk to them about what's happening, to give them the facts, and to drill down into the facts as much as we want to. But another thing I'll make sure you guys know is we won't get those facts if y'all don't ask the questions.
Thank you, Ms. Sanders.
Thank you.
Okay. And the final speaker tonight is Alexis Hughes. I see you over there.
got to introduce what we are and all that. Don't start my time if I have to introduce myself. You're making me do that, okay?
Okay, well, we
So
said it.
my name's Alexis Hughes. I have a group called You Heard Her. We're an advocacy group for female students, parents, and teachers in Cabarrus County who feel unsafe coming forward with their stories, whether it be about the bathroom or otherwise.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you restarting my time. On June 1st, Dr. Kopicki sat before this board and said data showed that only 2% of the reported incidences occurred in school bathrooms. The implication was because the number is low, there is little justification for implementing a bathroom policy. But that argument ignores both common sense and reality. You know what things have policies and laws against them? Hate crimes, drunk driving, traffic fatalities, school shootings, sexual assault, racial profiling, human trafficking, kidnapping, terrorism, student suicide, student weapon possession on school property, child abuse, and neglect. What is interesting is that each of these issues directly affects less than 1% of the U.S. population in a given year. Yet we still recognize these issues as important enough to address through laws, policies, and accountability. As a society, we do not determine whether an issue deserves attention solely based on the percentage of people affected or percentage of incidents. We consider the severity of the harm, the vulnerability of those impacted, and our responsibility to create safe communities. In fact, common sense tells us that many of these issues remain lower percentage-wise precisely because policy safeguards and accountability measures were put in place. The purpose of policy is not to wait until a problem becomes widespread. The purpose of policy is to prevent harm before it does become widespread. So citing a statistic that only 2% of incidents occur in bathrooms is not an argument against policy like you think it is. If anything, it is an argument for proactive policy. What concerns me even more is the assumption that the 2% figure accurately reflects reality. It is obvious that incidents occurring in classrooms, hallways, and cafeterias are more likely to be reported and make up a larger part of the data set because adults are present to witness them. Teachers, administrators, and staff see what happens and document it. Bathrooms and locker rooms are different. They are one of the few places in a school where students are largely unsupervised. It should not be controversial to acknowledge that incidents occurring in less supervised environments are more difficult to detect, document, and report. And we have additional reasons to question whether underreporting is occurring. We know that a cheer coach told the cheer students that there would be consequences if they reported or made a big deal about a biological male being present watching them in their bathrooms and locker rooms. If students believe there will be punishment, retaliation, embarrassment, or social consequences for speaking up, many simply will not report what they experience. And well, obviously, that cheer coach isn't going to be going to leadership to report it either. That is not evidence that incidents are not occurring. That is evidence that students may not feel safe reporting them, which is exactly why several members of this board were right to ask questions about the data and right to acknowledge that underreporting is a possibility, if all but Melanie Wade, if all of them, sorry about that, right to acknowledge that underreporting may be a possibility, even if all but Melanie waited until after the federal investigation was open to do so. Yet when those questions were raised, Dr. Kopicki, your response was quite hostile and defensive. That concerns many parents because transparency should welcome scrutiny, not resist it. And unfortunately, concerns about transparency are not new with you. During your tenure in Pennsylvania and under your leadership, right to know requests, the same as North Carolina FOIAs, were wrongfully denied. The matter went before court and the court ordered the records released. Rather than accepting that ruling, you pursued further legal action seeking to overturn the court's decision and prevent the release of those records, matters of public record. So when parents here ask questions, when board members ask to review the data, and when concerns are met with dismissal or defensiveness, people naturally wonder whether transparency is once again taking a back seat to protecting a predetermined narrative you want to present and protect. Was that why you abruptly resigned there from your contract in 2021? The issue is not whether the number is 2%. The issue is whether this district's lack of policy created an environment where the rights, privacy, safety concerns of biological female students were disregarded. The issue is whether girls were expected to surrender protections that Title IX was designed to guarantee. And given that this district is now facing a federal Title IX investigation, I believe there is sufficient reason to conclude that these concerns deserve far more than dismissal, deflection, or statistics designed to minimize minimize them. They deserve answers, accountability, and corrective action. Responsible leadership does not minimize concerns, call girls and their parents liars, or bury their head in the sand. Responsible leadership understands that protecting students is more than protecting narratives. Members of the board, Kapicki and the attorneys work for you. You do not work for them. Direct them to do what you ask, and if they refuse, that is insubordination and grounds for dismissal. Oh, and Dr. Kapicki, that parent who had to go through the courts to get that data and information they were illegally allowed to have, her name's Jamie Walker. She asked me to tell you hi when I talked to her this week.
Thank you, Ms. Hughes, and thank you for everybody who spoke tonight. We're going to move on. And our next order of business is report section. So we have a couple reports for that. The first report is 8.01. That's the CTE Comprehensive Local Needs Assessment and the Performance Indicator Yearly Review. And we're going to welcome Ms. Melanie Ritter to the podium.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Dr. Kopicki, and members of the board. Thank you for allowing me to speak this evening. We're going to just briefly talk about the CTE Comprehensive Local Needs Assessment. For a quick background, this is a 2-year process for career and technical education. We reach various stakeholders to get feedback on our current programs. Also, student data, we review student data, work with community partners to improve our programs across the board. Quick vision statement, students prepared to pursue their direction and purpose. One of the main things in CTE is really focused on every child, making sure that they are career and college ready before graduation so that they have a plan as they move forward with their futures. Very quick overview, we continue to increase our enrollment. We increased by 11% over the past few years since 22. We have 52 career pathways in Cabarrus County Schools, which I'm very proud of. Several districts around us don't quite have that. So we are offering what students are interested in and also aligned to industry partnerships. We currently have 8 career academies within the county: architecture and construction, aviation and aerospace, engineering, financial technology, health science, hospitality and tourism, information technology, and public safety. We continue to offer opportunities for our students within the work-based learning realm. We afforded students over 400 opportunities over the past couple of years. Last year was over 400. We actually had over 200 field trips submitted for our students in middle school and high school. We also offer professional engagement through North Carolina ACTE. That is something that as a CTE department we think is very important for our teachers and our staff, and so we provide a membership to all of our CTE staff. Just really quick growth projections. We continue to grow our CTE programs and enrollment. The blue line you see is unduplicated numbers for 2026. So we had almost 14,000 students enrolled in CTE courses, and the duplicative number for that is 22,167. So students are learning about pathways within their school as early as 6th grade and learning what they love to do and what they're most interested in, and they continue to enroll in our programs. A couple of things that we're very excited about and proud of. I'm going to go through our comprehensive local needs assessment with our indicators really quickly. Our cohort graduation rate for CTE students, these are students that complete their pathway. We also call them CTE concentrators. It's over 99%. So of the students that are within our CTE pathways that take a first level, a second level, that's usually the concentrator within the pathway. Some pathways have a third level to make them a concentrator. They are graduating at a very high rate, over 99%. A couple of our performance indicators. So I added this slide intentionally to show how we align with the district's strategic goals as well. It's interesting when I talk to people and I say, oh yeah, English 2 is one of our performance indicators as well, and they look very surprised, like, oh wow, why does CTE have anything to do with English? And so it's really important that just to kind of talk quickly about our concentrators and how they rank within the data. So our 2S1 academic proficiency within reading and language arts, that is our English 2 performance indicator. This one is for our 10th grade students, and you'll notice that we are outperforming a little bit over 4% based on the state benchmark. Within our math proficiency, it aligns again with our strategic plan. So Math 1 and Math 3 are performance indicators, and if a student has taken Math 1 in 8th grade, then it's the Math 3 indicator for that group of students. Again, we are outperforming. The benchmark is 39.91 within our CTE concentrators, and actual for 24-25 was 48.30. So again, gap is, we're a plus over 8%. And the third one that is important is 2S3, which is academic proficiency within science. This is biology, directly aligning to our strategic plan as well. This is in 11th grade, concentrators as 11th graders, regardless of when they take the test. That's when the data triggers for our CTE concentrators. Again, we are outperforming, and you'll notice that it has the state goal, the benchmark for Cabarrus County, and then our actual in each of the categories. Just very quick comparisons for 10th grade. English 1, you'll notice the teal color is our LEA, so that's Cabarrus County Schools, and then the purple is statewide. We continue to outperform statewide within this category for our CTE concentrators. Again, Math 1 or Math 3, depending. We outperform in this area as well. You'll notice on the graphs I have all, and then I have female students, male students, and non-traditionals. Again, these are CTE concentrators. That's the group that is represented here, and we continue to outperform in those categories. In biology, again, teal is Cabarrus County Schools, purple is the statewide, you'll notice the line that goes across too, that's the target for North Carolina benchmark. We continue to outperform in this category as well. So we're really proud of our CTE concentrators. It's showing the alignment of our CTE pathways with the core classes and how they basically work in tandem to be able to increase our data across the board. Some of our performance indicators. So when we dug into the data, our CTE leadership team did a really great job over the past 2 years. We talked a lot about how do we align with core subject areas, how can we create curriculum that brings in Math 1 and Math 3 concepts within our CTE classrooms as well. So we're really focused on providing additional opportunities for our PLC teams to review their CTE course materials and find where English 2, Math 1, Math 3, and biology standards are within our CTE standards as well. So another thing that we're planning to do, reviewing the data by subpopulations to provide additional supports. We noticed that non-traditional students is definitely a growth area for us. If you Google CCIP, just the letter CCIP, it's actually public facing, and if you put in Cabarrus County Schools or 130 as our LEA number, you can see this data in real time, basically. So we're really focused on non-traditional enrollments and our special population students just to make sure that we have provided wraparound supports for those students to be successful as well. Really quickly about our credential data, we're very proud of this. As a director, one of the things I charged our teacher teams with, our leadership teams with, our district team with, was to look at the credential data and provide students the opportunity to take credentials that align to their courses. I will say that this has been a huge growth area for us. It is interesting to see all the changes at the state level and try to implement them, and our teams have really grabbed a hold of it and ran with it. So I'm very proud. You'll see a couple of different data points here, and I'm going to explain each one. This is 23-24 data. When we were digging in, the 24-25 data was not available, so we focused on 23-24 to look at the credentials that had the largest gaps, where we could grow the most. The state goal was 26.28 during that school year, and we were at 63.7. So huge growth there. As a district for 24-25, we earned over 6,400 credentials. Our students earned over 6,400 credentials, which means we're starting to afford those opportunities to students if it aligns to the course. I will say there are a couple of courses that we offer here in Cabarrus County that we call local course options. If a credential makes sense and it aligns to the curriculum, we also offer those. OSHA 10 is an example. We have a logistics program at West Cabarrus High School. We've talked a lot with the instructor. He's advocated for us students, and OSHA 10, it makes sense, but it's local to us, so some of those numbers aren't reported in the state data. We have 233 academy graduates. Again, data, this was done before graduation, so 233, 406 National Technical Honor Society members. I'm very proud of being able to offer the CTE award ceremony every spring that we do here. We hosted over 1,400 people at the arena, and we celebrated our National Technical Honor Society students. We celebrated our academy graduates with cords and stoles. So I'm very excited about that. Also, we are driving state and national competitive competitions with our CTSOs. We continue to invest in students so that they can get an experience outside of the classroom. We've had students travel all over the nation within our CTSOs. Last week, we had a student travel to Atlanta to compete nationally. We sent a busload, 50 plus students down to compete in Atlanta for DECA. Next year they go to California. These are experiences that these students would never get unless they were in the CTE program. Our teachers advocated to start their CTSOs, and then we support them and make sure that they can have every opportunity to be successful within those programs. This year I'm very excited to report, this was May 19th, over 8,000 credentials were earned by our students. That's an attestation of how hard our teachers are working in the classroom, how hard our students are working within our CTE pathways. Data collection is still being verified, and with credentials, we actually have until August to report. We do have some students still doing nursing fundamentals, Nurse Aid 1, for example, and basically, if we have a credential voucher for it and a student didn't earn it, they can try us with a second attempt. 41 of our credentials earned 100% of the students earned the credential. Within NCCER, that's with carpentry, for example, that pathway, they can earn several credentials. Each one of the modules for NCCER is counted as one in a certain data set, so 41% within that. We're going to talk about a couple of those in just a minute. And the growth is almost 2,000, and we weren't done yet when I created the slide deck, so very excited about that. Couple of the top earners for 24-25, Serve Safe Food Handler, over 544 students earned Serve Safe Food Handler. When you go into a restaurant, you see the certificates for employees who currently work there. We are offering those credentials in our buildings, so students can go on a job interview, they have their credential, versus somebody who might not have it. They're more likely to get hired. BLS, Basic Life Support, 313 students earned that in 24-25. NCCER Basic Safety, 249. OSHA 10 Health was 202, and then Stop the Bleed, 187. Those were the top earners in 24-25. And then Gold Star Standard, these were our 100%. Drone 2, MAP, NFPA 2400, the CERT credential, and then FAA Trust. So 3 of those are within our drone program at West Cabarrus, and then CERT is our public safety one. So we're earning them. I'm very excited. Students are starting to talk about it. I feel like we're starting to shift the culture. When we started offering credentials, it was like, why am I having to do this? What is this for? The fact that we can align it to industry partnership and employment is really a huge carrot in our hat, if you will, feather in our cap. And also, it allows students to be able to talk about this within their classrooms, and really does create kind of like that competitive edge, and other students want to take those classes to get the certifications. 5S1 goal for 26-27, or 26-28, excuse me, increase the percentage of CTE concentrators earning a recognized post-secondary credential by aligning to their program of study. We're looking to increase that by 8%. In my mind, if it's a credential that we can offer, we should be offering it. There are some challenges with third-party vendors and different things. Our team has done a really great job of overcoming the barriers. If we can't get the credential in time, we're on the phone calling constantly, trying to figure out how do we get the vouchers so students can test. Strengthen our data collection practices and ensure consistent understanding and implementation of credential expectations. Again, a couple of years ago, it was an opportunity, but maybe not pushed as hard, if you will, right? And it's a proof of learning now. So that is the indicator that shows student mastery within several of our courses. And so we've charged the teachers really with, this is the credential that's offered in your class. What do you need to help support you in order for students to be successful? How do we provide supports to students so that they can earn these credentials? Collaborate with program leaders and CTE teachers to create a credential quick reference guide with changes from the state and a plethora of credentials, if you will. It's hard to try to figure out what the credential is that aligns to the course and then what is the best mode to prepare students. If it's over 80% of the curriculum, we have vendors that will offer that service. So for example, Adobe Photoshop, we work with a vendor to help train students, and it supports the teacher in the classroom. So we're consistently looking for ways to make sure students feel supported so that they can be successful. And then review, obviously, our credential prep materials. Non-traditional enrollment is something that we want to focus on. For S1 non-traditional program enrollment, we're looking to increase non-traditional enrollment by 2%. So when I talk about non-traditional enrollment, I'm talking about females who take carpentry, for example, or are in the trades, our electrical program at Mount Pleasant. So we want to increase that by 2%, and the way to do that is really start talking about it. Help those students feel comfortable in those settings and make sure that they know all the opportunities available so that they can be successful. Support students in making informed post-secondary decisions. So within CTE, we've partnered with Student Services and pretty much every department across Cabarrus County to work on career development planning for students. It's really important that students understand all the opportunities that are there and how they get there. Not every student's going to go to a four-year college. Some students are going to go to trade school. Some students are going to go to a two-year associate's degree. Some students will go into the military and some will go directly into employment. But we need to make sure as a county and as a CTE department that students understand the opportunities that are there for them and how they can reach those goals. It's really hard to map out the perfect way to get there. It's often, a windy road for students, and we need to help them understand it's not point A to point B. There's often, curves and barriers on the way, and we're here to support them and make sure they know what's out there for them. We also plan to continue with career development planning, of course, and then partner with local companies for work-based learning experiences. I've been very fortunate to meet so many great partners within Cabarrus County who are willing to host our students as early as 6th grade. 13, 14 years old, right? 12 years old, I guess, in 6th. But they're going on site to tour facilities so that they can see what their future might look like if they worked at one of the local companies. And then increased partnerships. This has been a goal of mine for the last 2 years. Continue to increase partnerships and figure out what's the cadence to actually building the partnership. We have so many great companies in Cabarrus County that it's sometimes hard to manage all of them. And so we were very lucky this year. We partnered with Leadership Cabarrus this year to review our partnership form and help determine our next steps for implementation. So we could figure out how do we track who our partners are and how do we consistently communicate what we're doing in CTE with our partners to help provide opportunities for students outside of the classroom. So they did a full partnership review for us, which was very helpful. And then beginning of our standard operating procedures, how does this start, right? I get inundated with emails. How do I track that? How do I manage all of the great people around who want to support our students? That group really kind of helped us get started, if you will. Next steps for CTE department once the partner fills out the form. So once they fill out the form, what's next was kind of that question, and we're looking at that to make sure there is a cadence of if they fill it out, we're reaching out to them, within a certain amount of time, and then what are next steps for our partners? Where can they insert themselves into our schools, into our different events, so that they feel like they're part of what's going on in our schools, and it also helps us get great feedback for the curriculum that we currently offer. We also were very fortunate to have a CTE program video made through Leadership Cabarrus along with Kannapolis City Schools, and we filmed at Mount Pleasant High School and they filmed in KCS, and this video was focused on our pathways. So we have some other videos for CTE. It's focused on our career academies. This one was solely focused on our pathways, which I think is really important for all of CTE across the board. And we're working on the partnership form, and our goal over the next 2 years is to create a toolbox so that partners can go to the toolbox and learn, and that our team can support that as well, trying to marry the two, put them together. Work-based learning implementation. So we heard what Leadership Cabarrus had to say with the partnership forum. It is hard to manage and hard to track, and when did we contact a partner last? And if I've contacted a partner and 2 of my schools have as well, we're kind of crossing over, right? And so we've decided to implement work-based learning through a company called SchoolLinks. We worked hard this year to get it set up. It's going to support our work-based learning opportunities as well as our internships. It'll have a job board for internships in there for students to access so that they know what internships are available for them. They'll be able to apply within the system for an internship, and the career development coordinators in each of our high schools will be able to support the student and help them find an internship that matches their interest. Easier tracking for student interns, making it more digitized than just a random, packet of paper going around. Every time they go to an internship, they fill out the paper and then come back and ends up in a backpack or whatever. So SchoolLinks is going to help us streamline that, which is great. It's also going to provide a tracking system for our partners, which I think will be really helpful for our team to make sure we're aligning the partners with the different programs that we offer within CTE. And again, aligning the process for all of our high schools to make an equitable practice for internships. Work-based learning goals, realign our CTE Business Advisory Council. We had a meeting last week with our advisory council. It went great. Great team there, kind of giving us feedback of different things and letting us know what's happening around Cabarrus County. But we're working to continue to align that and increase our number of active partners by 10% over the next 2 years. Review work-based learning process for data collection. Implement digital process for our internships, and create a partnership database, which I think will support. We have great programs, we have great pathways. Now we have to build that connection with our industry partners to make sure students have an opportunity to go out and on-site, job shadowing, internships. We're working on building pre-apprenticeships. We've got a couple going right now with Rowan Cabarrus Community College, so we've been very fortunate to have them as a partner as well. What questions do you have for me?
Seems like a lot of good news to share, and questions from board members.
I appreciate your passion.
Shannon.
And your material. Quick question. Doesn't most of the funding for CTE come from at the federal level?
We are federally funded and state funded. So we write part of this evening, our comprehensive local needs assessment is part of the grant for Perkins 5 to fund it. Yeah, but and then we get a state pot of money as well. The state money includes like curriculum, experiences for students, and that budget. And I also get a state budget for teacher allotments.
So it's federal and state money?
Yes, ma'am.
No local money?
We do not get local money. That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Melanie.
I have been to some of your meetings where you inform us of what all. I'm just amazed that you can coordinate all of this stuff. I hope parents realize what a valuable person you are, because I think children need their future linked to what they're learning. I think that makes them more involved in their learning, and as you said, they're outperforming. They see a point to what they're learning, and I think that's excellent. So I just think you're doing a great job, and how many people do you have working in your department besides yourself?
Right now at the district office we have 5 additional employees plus a treasurer, and then in each of our high schools we have a curriculum instructional management coordinator, which supports the teachers, and a career development coordinator, which supports the student side. And we also have one that is she's over the non-traditional, so she does both of those roles with our non-traditional schools.
That's a lot of information to coordinate, and like you said, with the partners and getting more partners and seeing who talked to who last. I understand all of that, and I just appreciate so much your effort for these kids, and I think it's a wonderful program, so thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I do want to say I have an amazing team. Could not do any of this without them. Our district team, our leadership teams in our buildings, they're awesome, and yeah, it's a team effort. Thank you. Thanks for saying that.
Anybody else? Thank you.
All right. One more. I guess you have to have a treasurer because you have to do special accounting since it is federal money, right?
Yes.
you have to do very detailed reports and that type of thing.
Yeah, she also acts as our office manager. So a lot of paperwork comes through, potentially could be audited. So yeah, she manages all of our budgets. We also have budgets. Credential budget is a separate budget. We get credential funds from the state, and we have written a couple of different grants, and so she helps manage those grants. We've gotten an ag grant in years past. We've done communities in schools grant writing for Concord High School. So her and I manage. She's the treasurer, so she, manages it, but her and I do that. Yep. Yeah, thank you. Any other questions?
Appreciate your time and bringing us up to speed on all the good things going on with CTE. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, our next report is going to be from our Teacher of the Year, Miss Madison Little. Looking forward to this one.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to speak with you tonight. I'm going to kind of go through a year in review and share some of the happy moments because I think starting positivity is a fantastic thing to do. Some of the things you've already heard about this year, but for myself as well, I wanted to look back at everything as this is my last time sitting up there on the board with you all. So to start things off, as we kicked off this school year, 3 separate things that I was really grateful to be a part of were the BT3 Summit, RISE, and then New Employee Orientation. At the BT3 Summit, I got to share a lot of EC knowledge, which was really special. At RISE, I got to speak to the whole school system and kind of go through a journey of my own of how I am a graduate of this school system and then got to where I am teaching here as well. And then at New Employee Orientation, I got to also share some things that have been really close to me that has helped guide me through my teaching career so far. And so to kick off the school year, I was really grateful for all of those separate experiences. I also got to be a part of our advisory council meetings. These were revamped this school year with the help of Ashton Berry and Mr. Shu. And this was a really awesome experience because it really reinforced listening and learning from other people, and that is something that I really value a lot. And within it, I've gained a really great friend, and she's sitting behind me, so thank you so much. I think it's amazing how people who are like-minded can come together for the betterment of one thing, and that is serving our students. And so it was a really refreshing group that I hope to continue to be a part of even when I'm not sitting in that seat anymore. Another really amazing experience for me was being able to be a part of the legislative meeting. When I look back on that meeting, I think one of the most important parts to me is that I was able to advocate for a group of students that is really important to me, which is our special education population. It was just really awesome to be able to share the knowledge that I have with that group of students, but also to understand how decisions are made. I've talked a lot about how I've learned a lot throughout this process over the past year, but this is really one of the biggest things of how decisions are made, how people can come together to make those decisions and to move education forward. And so that experience really strengthened my belief that when we remain focused on what's most important, when we're willing to listen and learn from each other, that we can really make positive growth that's going to lead to a very impactful change for us moving forward. I also got to go into many schools. I would like to point out the picture there on the left because that is a Taylor Swift book, and all the students were like, I looked at them and I said, do you guys know who this is? And every single person did, so that was just great. And I've talked about my obsession with the Letterland Parade. You all know about that. But it was really great to be able to go into schools. Each school really does have its own unique culture and strengths, but I think one thing continues to remain the same across the board is that when you walk into schools, you see students love to learn, and then you also see staff members who are pouring their hearts into what they're doing as well, and that's ultimately why we're all here. And so it was just really refreshing to be able to do that. I know you guys get to do that each year, and I think it's just really special. And I also learned things that I had never thought about as a teacher before either, and it was just really special. And lastly, I think it's really important to note that I was still able to be a part of this whole entire experience while also being still considered Miss Coach Little. It's a nickname that came about because my students and cheerleaders couldn't figure out how they were going to call me Coach Little, Miss Little, which one they were going to pick, so Miss Coach Little is what it is, and it's stuck. No matter where the journey has taken me, being in the classroom and building relationships with my students has really remained like my biggest joy. I knew I was going to cry. I'm going to try not to. So this is just a small glimpse at my year, but I'm really grateful that I was able to do it while still sitting up here with you all learning so many incredible things. And I think it's just really special when you look back at a year. I've looked back at it from my own lens in the classroom and what my students were able to accomplish and how we did it all together and the relationships that I've built, but also same for you all as well and the people sitting behind me. So lastly, I want to say thank you. Thank you for the incredible opportunity. A very special person, Miss McLean, once told me that the experience of being the district teacher of the year and sitting up on the school board and being a part of it was considered rare air. She is 100% right. I've been provided with opportunities and experiences that I've never imagined, and I'm so incredibly grateful for all of them. I've been given the opportunity to learn from so many remarkable educators, and I've also really enjoyed being able to advocate and speak on behalf of teachers. So thank you so much for listening to me whenever I turn my little microphone on. And as this chapter for me comes to a close, I hope you know that it's not goodbye. I would love to be able to keep in touch, collaborate, and hope that you all will utilize me as a resource as we continue to work toward what matters most, supporting every student and staff member across our county. So thank you so much for this journey. It is one that I will never forget, and the lovely Miss Gilchrist will be joining you all in July, and she is phenomenal, and her classroom is like magic, so I cannot wait to see what she does throughout her year as District Teacher of the Year as well.
Well, it's been a blessing to have you on the board. I mean, your energy is infectious. Your advocacy, we've learned a lot too. Really, your passion for your students is just amazing. Anyone have questions for Madison or comments?
I think we've all enjoyed her energy.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Thank you. All right, so the next item is actually our committee reports from board members. Any board members have a report for us this week, or this month? Nothing on this side? Go ahead.
The Cabarrus County Education Foundation celebrates its 25th year this year. So for 25 years, this foundation has been supporting education in our county. Over just this past year, Cabarrus County Education Foundation gave out 5,500 books to over 3,200 students. They also helped engage 700 students in STEM and workforce-connected learning activities. So for the past 25 years, they have been supporting our education and our teachers. I know I personally have gotten, whenever I was a teacher, I received several grants from them. So I do know that they support classroom teachers, and it's a great group. Part of the way they raise money is also the luncheon they have every year. They have a big luncheon in October. It is on October 30th this year. Sponsorships are available. It did sell out last year, so mark your calendars, October 30th, for the luncheon that the Education Foundation has. And also, they're starting their school supply to start school in August. I know I mentioned several times last year that the average teacher in Cabarrus County spends $1,600 out of his or her own pocket for classroom supplies. We rank second in the nation for out-of-pocket expenses that our teachers have to pay. So if you can help get teachers started with a good year, they're starting their drive right now. And Combs Chiropractic in Harrisburg already has drop boxes. So you can go to Combs here in Harrisburg, Combs Chiropractic, and they will have a drop box out there for school supplies. So thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. Anybody else? All right. Move on to item 9, which is the approval of our consent agenda. These are all the items that we had discussed in detail last week and decided we had enough information to approve. So at this point, I would need a motion and a second to approve our consent agenda. Thank you, Pam.
Second.
Thank you, Greg. So we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? All right, our consent agenda is approved, and we'll move on to the items for action. We have two of those. So 10.01 is the annual program choice review and 2027-28 recommendations, and we're going to bring back Ms. Reeves and Ms. Whitaker.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, Superintendent Dr. Kopicki, and members of the board. Thank you all so much for allowing us to return tonight. We did not receive a lot of questions regarding the other programmatic recommendations. However, we did receive several regarding Mandarin, and so we do have some updated slides regarding those questions, specifically answering several suggestions from our constituents regarding the rationale and some suggestions in terms of the programmatic discontinuation of Mandarin at Roberta Road Middle School. And so I would like to share those with you this evening, and then also make sure that everyone understands we will be updating these and uploading them to Diligent as soon as the meeting concludes. So one of the important things that we wanted to underscore to our community, but also the Board of Education, is that our programmatic recommendations for Mandarin at Roberta Road would not take effect until the year 27-28. So this would be for the rising 6th grade class. And so starting next year during the Futures Fair in October, we would no longer be offering that programmatic opportunity. For those families that are already committed to Roberta Road, we want to make sure that we continue to see through the programmatic continuation for those students in terms of their language acquisition. Additionally, our plan is to make sure that we work individually with the students that are currently enrolled in Mandarin at the elementary level to provide educational opportunities on future opportunities to engage in receiving a high school language credit through a variety of other opportunities that won't be immersion but would allow the student to pursue a Mandarin 1 or a Mandarin 2 high school credit in the future. Additionally, the other pieces that we wanted the community to understand is that the programmatic recommendation is not just for 6th grade at Roberta Road. Part of our challenge right now that we are facing is this significant decline in terms of community interest for our rising kindergarten students. And so as you can see here, we've pulled the data since 2019-2020, specifically for the kindergarten cohort of families in the Mandarin program that have shown interest. And we've gone from 64 students that were interested in the program in 2019-2020 to 25 students in the 25-26 school year. One of the things that's really important to us is we take a lot of professional development and professional advice from Participate, who is our participating partner in language immersion. And our ultimate goal is to have at least 50 students enrolled in any language program to ensure that we have long-term sustainability to be able to run the classrooms at a cost-effective measure. Our state currently allots us in a middle school model at a minimum of 115 to 120 students per teacher. So obviously when we're considering that, any additional cost would go into local if we're not fiscally optimizing those teaching staff. And so 50 students really gives us the ability to have some matriculation through the program over the years, because obviously we do not have the ability to enroll a student in Mandarin after 2nd grade because of the language development skills at that time. And so we really have to take into consideration not only the current 6th grade students that are going to Roberta Road, but also the rising and incoming kindergarten students and the programmatic interest of the community based on applications. Additionally, this is just a data set that shows the overall Mandarin enrollment of the county. And so again, as you can see in 25-26, we're starting to see a significant decline. And so when we're looking at Destination 2027 and really thinking about fiscal stewardship and efficiency, we do have to take into account the fact that the staffing and personnel needed to run a dual language immersion program, we have to have enough community interest to effectively run that program without having significant costs. And last but not least, this data set really shows currently what we are looking at in terms of the middle school projection numbers. And so, of course, we want to honor and understand the frustrations of our constituents and the families that are currently in the Mandarin program, but also understanding the limited interest, even in the situation where we can provide staffing. Obviously, the language immersion program is not what it needs to be when you only have 3 students per grade level in the program. And so as we're working with our participate vendor, we're really having dialogue around what is best interest of the students to truly provide a comprehensive language program while also ensuring that we maintain flexibility for our families. Additional things to consider that were related to the programmatic concerns. We shared this again when we shared about the dissolving of the program at Cox Mill. The J-1 visa process for teachers is becoming increasingly more difficult for the Mandarin program, which poses several barriers for us, as well as the community interest in the Mandarin program in Cabarrus County Schools. And so, with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Allison Whitaker, the Director of Program Choice, and she's going to share a little bit about what we've done in terms of marketing and recruitment efforts for our rising kindergarten families over the last couple of years to support the fact that we have been making every attempt to be able to provide marketing to our community, but we're not seeing the numbers and applications at this time.
Good evening. I want to just list quite a few items that were implemented along with collaboration with school leaders as well as with our communications department. We had school leaders conduct open houses as well, of course, as our Futures Fair. We had teachers reach out to families in the 5th grade that were middle school teachers to share about the program, as well as the middle school principal reached out to all 5th grade families. We had a local journalist come and do a article specifically on our DLI program, the Mandarin program, and interviewed elementary and middle school students. That was this year. We promoted Mandarin throughout program choice open enrollment period with marketing campaigns on social media. We provided information sessions and took quite a few phone calls with families with questions. We held more than one open house at Roberta Road. We actually held 2, showcased student achievement and learning experiences through a wonderful Chinese New Year event for families, and of course always including Mandarin in our program choice application materials and recruitment resources, and of course as well, all because we are monitoring enrollment trends and tried to adjust recruitment strategies based on the outcomes we've received.
And lastly, we just want to say our recommendation from the programmatic annual review is simply right now community interest in enrollment numbers. Our recommendation does not reflect the quality of the program that currently exists. We are incredibly thankful for the stakeholders, especially our teachers that are in this program. And we certainly have student achievement data to support the high efficacy of the program. However, with such limited numbers in enrollment, we truly can't provide the comprehensive immersion experience that we want to provide for our families, which is why we are making this programmatic recommendation for the 27-28 school year. That being said.
Thank you for the updated presentation. Board members, questions? Pam.
Thank you. I also want to thank the parents that emailed and that are paying attention, because I do recognize that this is a challenging time to be watching school board meetings. So I just want to speak firsthand because one of those statistics is my child, and I'm going to try not to be emotional about this because I'm just so proud of her, and I'm so proud of like the Mandarin kids in general. Like, there was a principal here who we were talking about DLI, just period, like the beauty of dual language, and at their school they have Spanish, and he said, you know, it's really interesting to watch these 2nd graders because their relationships, they become almost like siblings. And I said, oh, I know, 9 years. I can't imagine her experience in Cabarrus County Schools without it. And I hurt for the parents who are advocating for their kids, because I know the value. I've seen it. And her class of kids that just finished at Roberta Road, I mean, I've known them since they were kindergarten. Their teacher is amazing. They put this video when they finish like the program, 9 years. She got every teacher they had from kindergarten to send a message, and they don't live in the United States anymore, some of them. And so it's just, the quality is absolutely there. And I guess I'm frustrated with this information because when you look at the numbers, like we did make that decision about Cox Mill. Well, basically what you're saying tonight is that there's no way we can meet the demand for middle school. Because if it's only Harrisburg as your feeder, we're never going to get there. And so with all the marketing and all the things in the world, we cut the program in half as far as feeder. And so now we're at this point where, yes, it makes sense that there's only 3 kids when you think about COVID that are going to make it there. So I guess I just want to speak highly about Roberta Road. I recognize why parents are choosing not to go there, because you're right. If you don't have the flexibility to get your kid to a hub stop, to get them to and from, especially middle school, I mean, orthodontists, name the appointments that they have. Like, it's just a lot, especially if it's not around the corner. And that was a huge sacrifice, and it was a huge decision in our family that we had to make. But we stuck with it because of the value. We recognize that we've put in 6 years, kindergarten through 5th grade. How could we stop now? But we had the luxury with our careers to be able to make that adjustment. So I recognize that Roberta Road is a fantastic school. It's an amazing opportunity. And when we went through the promotion ceremony this year, you know, you sit there and you realize, even the Spanish students, DLI, the contribution of the benefits of bringing kids from all over the county to one school is actually really cool. But that's not going to get your kid to and from school. So I recognize that. So, sorry, long question. But several parents mentioned it tonight. We also got several emails, and I really appreciate this. The feeder pattern question. What would happen if, because it's only at Harrisburg Elementary now, if we put it to Hickory Ridge Middle? Do we know if we could sustain it? Now, I know you don't have 50 kids, but is there a possibility? And then the other question I have on top of that, going to the visas. We have participate teachers all over Cabarrus County. They're not just in the Mandarin program. Mm-hmm. So is there something specific with China that makes those passports different? Because, again, just throwing an idea out there, would there be a way to have a Hickory Ridge Middle School, who is our participant teacher, also teach those? Because for those who are not aware, it's like 80-90% immersion in elementary school, because you, just like what we call them, the English kids, just like the English kids, they have their one teacher who teaches them all their core stuff. It's the same thing in Mandarin, right? So you're learning everything from them. But when you get to middle school, you only get 2 classes. And so you get social studies in Mandarin, and then you get your Mandarin class, like the language class. So again, could we play with the position to stick someone at Hickory Ridge where they're also teaching maybe, I don't know, I happen to know that the Roberta Road teacher, her English is phenomenal. Not all the Mandarin teachers' English is phenomenal. We don't necessarily want them to be better at English than Chinese, but would it be possible to do something like that? Just be a little bit more creative, especially because you've put 6 years is a lot for a kid, and we do have the Chinese New Year. And last week when I saw that slide, you know, I kept on thinking about that little girl in that picture. Like, when she signed up, she thought, you know, we thought we're going all the way, right? And all the way is 8th grade. So, I don't know. Thank you for listening to me.
Yeah, I'll let Dr. Williams speak to the staffing piece, and then I'll speak to the transfer of the program and some of the key pieces to consider.
Yeah, so just very briefly, the hiring a Mandarin teacher, even through Participate, has quite a bit more work that does on the backside. It's also much more difficult to be able to find the Mandarin teachers and to get them here and get them here on time. It is quite a complex immigration issue to get those visas issued. And so I would say finding high quality Mandarin teachers has become a challenge as the years have gone on. And then secondly, when you look at the middle school, I will speak. The Mandarin program was not at the school where I was a principal, but I did help build the first middle school Spanish immersion program at Winkler some years ago. And I will say from experience, trying to schedule that into a middle school schedule without the requisite number of students becomes incredibly challenging, because you end up with your dual language teacher attempting to teach things that they have never taken and never taught. And so when you get things, for example, like a 8th grade North Carolina history test that you're trying to have a teacher from overseas or class, when you look at those social studies classes, you can build that in if you have enough kids to be able to fill those sections across. Again, keep in mind they're teaching across 3 grade levels. But when you attempt to do that with really unique classes as they go through middle school, and you don't have enough kids to fill those sections to make them unique, that becomes an incredible scheduling challenge. And so right now, I will say from an HR perspective, the number of students enrolled does cause me some little bit of heartburn in terms of staffing a school appropriately and making sure that all of our kids' needs are met.
Yeah, and in relation, thank you, Dr. Williams. In relation to the consideration around moving the program, I think first and foremost it's important to understand that program was intentionally moved to Roberta Road because both of our dual language programs for middle school are offered at Roberta Road. While it seems simple to say why would we not just move it to Hickory Ridge, very candidly, when you look at the current students that are in attendance in the dual language Mandarin program, their home school is not necessarily Hickory Ridge. So while that may serve some of our families, it's not serving all of them. And from a geographic distance, it is only 1.3 miles difference from Hickory Ridge to Roberta Road from Harrisburg. So we're not talking about a significant proximity challenge. And so for that reason, in those considerations, when we look at the programmatic numbers, we don't even have enough students currently interested in the Mandarin program to sustain a half a position. And even from there, the challenges become incredibly complex to be able to serve. Obviously you have 3 grade levels plus the language classes that you have to serve for students in a master's schedule.
Follow-up question. This program has only existed for 12 years, correct? So we haven't even had, so it started 12 years ago with Cox Mill Elementary, where they've put kindergartners and first grade together. So we haven't even done a full 13 years of this program. So what if this, I don't think my colleagues share my concerns. I could be wrong. But if this passes, what is, since some of these parents just found out about this, what are you going to talk to them about? What does that look like, and what would that cost?
Yeah, that's a great question. So first and foremost, right now we are honoring our current rising 6th graders' commitment to Mandarin, those students, and we've been able to work with Mr. Patel at Roberta Road to be able to use a split position so that we're using fiscal resources effectively to be able to get students at Roberta Road what they need in terms of Mandarin programming, and also making sure that we're fiscally utilizing that resource allocation, because obviously anything below around 115 to 120 students per teacher ratio is beyond what the state funds us at. So we want to be very intentional about that. Moving forward, obviously the recommendation would be starting next year when we're recruiting, we're not recruiting for the 6th grade continuation. So Ms. Whitaker would be working with Mr. Wedby and myself to be able to provide programmatic pathways that would include education discussion around what the credit by demonstrated mastery process would look like and alternative processes for families to pursue further language credit opportunities, but it would not be within the actual school day. At this point, we're also exploring some other opportunities in terms of virtual learning opportunities, but very candidly, all of those have fiscal components involved in them, and so without having a state or a local budget, we do not feel confident in being able to communicate that at this time, but internally we are having those conversations so that as we prepare for recruitment efforts in the fall, we can work and have open houses with the families that are currently in Mandarin that are in upper grades.
So when you said earlier that you're going to honor the kids that are going into the middle school now, but the kids that are in elementary, you're not locked in. Like all that you're promised is through 5th grade. So that's what you're saying.
So the current rising 4th graders next year, we cannot commit to a middle school program if the vote is approved tonight. The current rising 6th graders, obviously, that are going to Roberta, and the rising 5th graders, we would not be able to commit to a program starting in the 27-28 school year.
So can you go back to the slide above, before this? No, next.
This one?
No,
This
that
one?
one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, so this is just kindergarten and 6th grade right now. This isn't capturing how many students are actually affected by this decision.
That is correct, yes.
Do we know what that number is?
We do, and I can share that. We shared that with you, but we'll be happy to post it publicly as well.
It's on the annual report.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Okay, Melanie.
Would you elaborate a little bit on the, and I can feel for these people, we've gone this far and stopped cold turkey. Where will, speak to the Mandarin 1 and 2, how they could continue taking Mandarin but not in an immersion. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, so right now there's 2 really pathways that we see families pursuing, one of which is already actively happening in our community if families are not choosing to pursue attending Roberta Road for a dual language immersion. Many of our families are doing private tutoring, and then there's an opportunity through the district and the state called Credit by Demonstrated Mastery, where once the students go through an adequate number of coursework and they feel prepared, they can actually sit for a test to be able to receive credit for Mandarin 1 or Mandarin 2 or both, depending on their language proficiency. The second opportunity would be through a virtual coursework, which would cause the district a cost to incur. So at this point in time, we can't necessarily commit to that until we have an accurate understanding of the state and local budget.
So there is not a class that you're saying of Mandarin 1 and Mandarin 2 that they can take. So you're talking about proficiency to take the test. Okay, is there, and I know the employment, the getting the visas and all that, with some of the teachers that we already have in the immersion, would it be possible for them to teach an extra level of, in order to, I'm not asking it well, but that you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out some way where they don't have to stop their learning.
Yeah, so we are considering outside of the box solutions to be able to provision instruction. It will not be a full immersion program. I think at this point there's no possible way we can offer a full immersion program with 3 to 6 students per grade level. However, there could be an opportunity to look into some of those opportunities in terms of online instruction, but we will not know that until we have clear understanding of the budget and what the board's decision is to be able to think through what supports we can put in place for the families that have already committed to the Mandarin program in elementary school.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Shannon?
My daughter took Mandarin Chinese when she was in the IB program. So when did they stop that as part of the IB program? Has it been a while, or?
They have Spanish. They have Spanish at
Yes.
Winkler.
Yes. Not Mandarin.
And I guess there's not a pathway to take Mandarin Chinese in high school at this point in the county, right?
To my knowledge, no.
Okay. So it would have to end in 8th grade anyway.
That's
Okay.
correct.
You know, I'd spoken to you about having a virtual option. I
Yes.
think that would be a great solution to this.
Yes.
I'm also sitting here thinking it could be maybe an enrichment
Mhm.
during the day for some of these students that may not be able to continue it, but it could be an enrichment opportunity when they have specials, is what we used to call them.
Yes. Yes.
So,
And I will say, we would absolutely look into all of those opportunities, but all of which will come at a cost. And so we've got to really make sure that we have a clear understanding of our budget as we move forward before we make any commitments to our families.
I completely agree with that. Is this something we have to decide tonight? Or
It is.
we
It is
have to?
on the. And again, this isn't for this school year, so students are going to go to where
Right.
so there's some time to figure out what the long-term future looks like. But we've got to set the groundwork now if we're going to do that, to give people notice. Otherwise, I mean, next spring and you don't give them any notice, and I don't think that's fair. So at least now we've got options. We've got people working on solutions. So, any further comments on that? So the motion actually is threefold. So there's a dissolve the Mandarin program for rising 6th grade students at Roberta Road Middle School due to low enrollment numbers. 2 is increase the marketing and recruitment efforts for Cabarrus Health Sciences Institute Early College and pilot enrollment opportunities for rising juniors at Cabarrus Health Science Institute for the 2027-28 school year, contingent upon seat availability, in addition to the current rising freshman enrollment model. And then third was revise Central Cabarrus High School STEM program boundaries to support program continuity and reduce transportation distance for participating students. So those are the 3 that we've been asked to vote on tonight. So if someone's ready to make a motion and a second, we can have that vote.
I make a motion that we accept the changes in our program choice as recommended.
Okay, we do have the motion. Thank you, Sam. I have a second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor of the program recommendation for the 27-28 school year, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, we have 1 opposed. Thank you. So our second action item is the one that we took off the consent agenda, and that's the school fees for 2026-27. I don't know if Dr. LeGrand is available to come to the podium for questions. And I'm not sure if it's got the presentation up there, so. And Melanie, since you did ask to have that pulled I'll let you ask the first question.
So it says proposed school fees, but this is not a comprehensive of all the fees, correct? You
That's
said
correct.
It is just one category of fees.
That's for the school fees. There's a separate student activity fees, which includes extracurricular activities, etc. These are for school-based fees for instructional supplies and items for use during the school day.
Okay, and you mentioned that the band fee is there's separate band fee from marching band. They do not have to be in the band during the day to be in the marching band?
They are typically in the band to be in the marching band, but the student activity fees would cover the student activity fees would cover the marching band aspect of it, such as uniforms, trips, travel, that type of thing. And that is covered under policy 3620, which is our student activity fees.
So the student activity fee for that would be what?
In our policy, it states that it is created at the school level, and it is something that cannot go over $500. That's what it is.
And we have never had a fee that went over the $500, because I think I had heard higher.
If so, it went over the amount policy allows. I'm not aware of one that went over 500.
I just
Sam
want
wants
to
to
say,
respond.
as a principal, I don't remember when that policy went into effect, but it's been, I'd say, at least 10 years where that $500 cap.
Yes.
Because there was concern that the what we were asking parents to pay to be in marching band was getting too high. So that there may have been previous to that policy, there may have been fees, but with that's been at least 10 years ago, I'd say.
Thank you for clarification, Sam.
It just seems like to me, I know you're classifying it as an extracurricular, but they go with the football team to represent the school. It just doesn't seem like that should be a fee that they would have to shoulder, is what I'm saying. I don't remember. I know there's some booster club and stuff that's kicking in on some of this, but I would like to have more information on how that fee has caused our student involvement to drop and things like that. I just don't know any other program that requires that kind of money that would be extracurricular in that category. Is that one of the highest fees?
The band fee is one of the highest fees, yes, but it is, like I said, it's covered under policy 3620, and there's a cap on it. Now that's to offset the cost that is associated with instruments, uniforms, travel, all of the things involved with that marching band. Now there are clubs and teams and other things that are also covered under the 3620, but most of the times those fees don't get anywhere near the $500.
Dr. Kapicki, we talked about this before, and you went out in a finance meeting to check on this, but I understood that the fees covered music and other things like that. In talking to a high school teacher of band and stuff, they were mentioning the high cost and the fees that they were, and that was my question. Why are they paying fees for instructional material when nobody else is?
Well, for instructional material, those are the student fees, and so those would be fees that are paid similar to what I was talking about last week with the STEM fees. So if a student is enrolled in a STEM program, there may be extra instructional materials that go along with that program that cost an additional amount, and therefore there's a proposed $25 fee to help offset those costs for the schools to be able to carry out the program as intended.
Does that fee also get set by the individual schools, or is that just district set?
That would be that'd be a board approved. The policy 4600 says that the school board approves all school fees. And so that's why I'm bringing it to you guys for approval for the STEM fees, because that's, again, an instructional supply, a school fee for the instructional school day.
Okay. I personally would just like a deeper dive into these fees and the VEX programs, all of that stuff, and what it actually is charging and how many students it's affecting and all that kind of stuff. Maybe you've given that to us before, but it seems like there's an awful lot of fees, and $25 is not that big a deal, but when you get to hundreds and 500, like the robotics fee, is that considered extracurricular also?
The VEX robotics, it is considered a school fee because it is something that is done during the school day. It was something that was brought to this board last year, and it was approved for the VEX robotics fee. I will point out two things. The first thing is there is a crosswalk that was that's part of this agenda that it shows when each fee was introduced or approved in which year, and it's a comprehensive list of all of our student fees, and these are the school-based fees, and which year they were approved. And the second thing I want to point out is, I know you mentioned student participation. We would not prohibit students from participating in any type of instructional or extracurricular activity due to an economic hardship. This is something that is waived if there is a legitimate economic hardship.
How much is that put out for all the parents to know? I mean, would they, I just don't think it's general knowledge that they have, if they were, it was a hardship, they could still do it. I think most parents would say, this is not in our realm of finances, so they wouldn't even go after it.
Yeah, and that's something we definitely have our schools talk to parents about on a consistent basis, and we want to make sure that our parents understand that this should never be something that keeps their children from participating. It's something that's done discreetly with the family if they do need economic assistance or if they need it to be waived. Again, to treat them with respect for their situation, and our schools do a really good job of navigating that when needed.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, so we know what we're voting on. Review again what the changes are, what we're being asked to vote on.
So the two proposed school fees I brought forward last week, just to review this again, there's the annual school fee review. And what we do, this is a yearly thing that we do with our schools, and I bring it forward every June. Once we have a review with our district leadership, our principals, we receive feedback, and the feedback that we got this year is there were two things. That STEM fee, and that would apply to our 5 STEM magnet schools that you can see there. And the thing about this fee is it was originally, and you can see it on the crosswalk, it was originally on our list of approved fees, and then it was taken off because we weren't at school during the COVID years, and we didn't think it was right to charge kids for STEM fees and STEM supplies when we weren't at school using those materials. So it was taken off, but our schools have identified that it is something that is needed going forward to maintain the STEM program and as we want it to remain. And the fee is used to purchase consumable materials for hands-on activities, project-based learning, etc. There's a lot of materials that go into the projects, the experiment, all the things that go along with the STEM program. The second one is the City Labs fee, and this is for all full-time CBA students. It is a $20 fee. City Labs is a software that our teachers use, our students use, to improve their online experience. It also does a couple important things, not only making it more interactive, it also it helps with progress monitoring, which is very important for our virtual students, is because we don't see them on a daily basis. It's not something we could watch them doing their work, and it makes sure that all of our materials are ADA compliant, which is important for EC students, etc. So Pam asked, or Ms. Escobar asked me a question last week about the amount that this was costing per student. I did go back and do some research on that, and it was closer to the $30 per student. So this is just used to offset the cost. It's not meant to cover the entire cost, but it's something that our CBA has identified as a need to, again, continue to move forward our virtual instruction in a very highly effective and efficient way.
Okay, board members, do we understand what we're being asked to vote on? If so, I'd need a motion and a second to approve these recommended school fees for the 2026-27 school year.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mills. Thank you, Mr. Treadaway. We have a motion and a second to approve the recommended fees for the school year. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, we have one no. All right, that does pass. So those fees will be approved for the next school year.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to section 11, which is a need for closed session, and let me read the justification for that. A need for closed session pursuant to 143-318-11A1 to prevent the disclosure of confidential information. 143-318-11A3 to instruct the public body's staff and negotiating agents concerning the position to be taken on or behalf of the public body in negotiating the price or other material terms of a contract or proposed contract for the acquisition of real property. And 143-318-11A5 to consider confidential personnel matters pursuant to General Statute 143-318-11A6. Somebody make that motion? Thank you, Pam. Anybody?
Second.
Thank you, Sam. A motion and a second to go into closed session. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, so we'll say goodnight to the listening audience, and we'll see you next month. And we are now in closed.